Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Sports of SHSU All Access. Today, we've got wide receiver Cody Chrest here from the same Houston Bearcats. Cody, thanks for coming on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So, Cody, last year, 2021, you had 54 receptions, 704 yards receiving, and then 5 touchdowns. Big year, really good year. 2 really good years, one in the spring and then in the fall. But let's start a little bit before Sam Houston, your pre-Sam Houston career. Cy-Fair, high school guy, local Houston product, and then went to Harvard. So kind of just talk about what your high school career was like, and then why you went to Harvard, and then kind of how you ended up at Sam Houston.
So it's kind of funny whenever I talk to people about my high school career, when people have seen what I've done throughout college, I've had, a relatively successful career, and you would think that I would have maybe had a killer high school career. I'm honestly really fortunate that I even got any scholarship offers to play college ball. My junior season, in 13 games, I had 11 receptions for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was my entire junior season stats. And I went to Cypher High School, and back then when we had Coach Bajowski, we were 85% run, I formation, power football. That's what we did. We had some stud running backs. So, at the end of the day, I tried to play my part. So it's kind of funny when I talk about that, like a lot of guys on the team, they're like breaking records at their schools, doing all sorts of crazy things in high school. I'm like, my entire junior season, which is essentially, that's really what gets you recruited, was almost like my career high single game receiving stats in college. So I didn't have too many opportunities to play ball out of high school, but I think my size is what helped me get recruited at the D1 level. I personally, in terms of Harvard, I did not foresee that being an opportunity growing up. I've always been pretty solid in the classroom. I've cared about academics. I've been academically inclined, but I always saw myself going Power 5, playing somewhere big time. But whenever the Ivy League started reaching out, I remember I kind of brushed it off, and then my grandma was with me, and I kind of brushed it off, and she kind of got mad at me. She got stern. She was like, "No, you just got a letter from Harvard and Yale. You better take it seriously." So I was like, "Oh, you know what? You're right, Grandma." So I did. Coaches gave me, certain test scores, GPA, all that sort of stuff that they wanted, so I could reach a certain level on the academic index to get in. And I realized how unique of an opportunity that was, how exclusive of an opportunity that was. And as soon as I realized that I could do it, it was a definite desire for me. Like there was no doubt that I was going to go to Harvard, and I was going to find a way to get in. So I really committed myself academically, just to becoming, just like having identity based objectives where like I wanted to become that person that could get in. So I made that decision to go there, and it was an incredible experience. I'm super grateful for it. I mean, I think that's a major part in what built me to become who I am today, which I'm pretty proud of. My career at Harvard did not go as planned. I came in right away, and I was starting right away. So like I'm at the highest high, and I'm thinking everything's working out perfect. And I sustained an injury, and it was a very unique injury. So I'm not saying that the trainers did anything wrong, but it was difficult to evaluate. And it was the severity, let's just say the severity of it was to an extent neglected. And that I played 2 games in freshman year, scored a touchdown, thought I was on pace to have a great career. And that injury prevented me from playing the rest of my freshman year. Found out the following March that it was pretty serious. We thought it was just like a pretty bad case of patellar tendonitis. I had a torn patellar tendon, cortical avulsion fracture, a couple other things. It was a whole mess. Got surgery. We decided not to get surgery right away. Got some PRP injections, didn't work. Got surgery week 4 or 5 of my sophomore year, missed my sophomore year, missed most of my junior year, came back at the end. Just wasn't ready. Just wasn't who I just, I wasn't my best version of me. I just wasn't quite ready. So I knew I had my senior year left, and that was right whenever the grad transfer trend started to kick off. We had some guys before me. We had a receiver who went to Vandy, grad transfer to Vandy from Harvard, running back, quarterback to Rice. I had some guys that grad transferred, use that opportunity and really maximize that opportunity. So that was whenever I realized the situation I was in, my whole goal was, okay, I have this 1 year. I'm going to have a killer season. I'm going to grad transfer. I'm going to go play ball at a higher level, more of a passing offense. Harvard wasn't that pass dominant or more run dominant. And, just try to maximize my opportunity to play at the next level, because even with the education that I was receiving, that was kind of my whole idea, was go there, get an elite education from a prestigious institution, have that opportunity while pursuing my ultimate goal of the NFL. And then if that doesn't work out, I know that I have a great degree to fall back on. So that was really the whole plan with Harvard, was knowing that I could get that great degree and I could have a good opportunity in other avenues in life while still pursuing my ultimate dream of the NFL. So coming here to Sam was an absolute blessing. I thought that I was going to get a lot bigger offers transferring out of Harvard, but I didn't. But everything worked out perfect coming here. I mean, I remember committing to an 8-5 team, telling all my people that I'm going to go there and win a national championship. And it sounds ludicrous, but we did. So it's been a incredible blessing. I'm super happy the way all the things have worked out.
Yeah, and I know we're super glad to have you here. Was you being a Houston guy and never really being in a passing offense, was that part of what drew you to Sam Houston, the fact that they aired the ball out, and then being a local kid, getting to come
Absolutely.
back?
It was three things: Eric Schmid, the offense, and proximity to home. My fam, they only got to come to really one game each while I was up at Harvard. And I mean, I'm a family person. Home is where family is. And as much as I did love it up in Boston, this is where I belong. So it was so great to come back home, be an hour away, and have all my family and friends, all my people at all my games. It was just, it was an incredible 180 from my past experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had 2 incredible seasons with Sam Houston. You're back for a 3rd season. So just talk about your decision to come back. We know you went through Pro Day, just kind of what that was like and what went into your decision to come back this year.
Yeah, so we were talking about it a little bit before this, but 2022 has been a crazy year. It was never really my intention to begin with to come back until I realized the opportunity that I had coming back. So as we were talking about earlier, I expected to hear back about my waiver for another year of eligibility around January, whenever there was an NCAA convention where there was a presumed legislation that was going to be implemented that would automatically qualify me for another year. So I never really thought that I was going to have a pro day at that point. But throughout the season, I remember telling Clayton Barnes and Coach Keeler, and whenever they told me about appealing for another year, I was like, I don't want to come back for another year of college. I'm ready to. I plan on doing what I need to do this year to go to the NFL and pursue my dream. But as I continue to have some success and throughout the year, throughout pro day training, all of that, I realized the opportunity that I had coming back for another year, whereas I was a potential free agent prospect last year or this spring, that if I come back, I do what I'm supposed to do, I stay healthy, that I'm on some draft boards and I have an opportunity to be a draft prospect, especially considering, how saturated the last class was with the COVID year, and, there being, 3rd, 4th, 5th round projections that didn't even get drafted. So it all just made sense to take advantage of the opportunity at hand. And whenever we had all the coaching replacements and I met Coach Perry and I watched film with him, I went over his offense. I was sold. He's a football genius. He truly is. I mean, he's really, really impressed me.
Yeah.
And I don't say this with any disrespect to any of my past coaches, because I've been fortunate to have great coaches in the past, but I truly, I mean, like, I say this with conviction, I've learned more from Coach Perry in the few months that I've known him than I have in the past 6 years of my college football experience. And I've always thought that I was one of the more knowledgeable wide receivers out there. So, I mean, it's a really high level offense, and it's a really high level mind behind Coach Perry. So that was the kind of understanding my opportunity, and that in terms of being a draft prospect, and then understanding my opportunity with the coach that I can learn from, have another year to learn from, and be a product of his offense. It was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, just kind of to add on to like the roller coaster of how 2022 has been, I ended up having my pro day, and I didn't think that I was going to make it to that point. I thought that I was going to already have my year of eligibility back, I'd be with the team, and everything would be smooth sailing. I ended up having my pro day, couldn't sign with an agent because then I wouldn't be eligible to come back. I wouldn't be an amateur anymore. So I didn't really know where I stood. I was, it really tested my mental fortitude, because I didn't think that I was that big of a prospect. I just didn't know. So my pro day comes around, and an agent comes up to me before the pro day, and he's like, "Hey, X, Y, and Z, they're here for you. They said if you run under a 4.5, then they're going to sign you." And I wanted, like, my face wanted to just light up, but like I kept it cool and was just like, "Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna run under a 4.5." Yeah. And I, on a lot of teams' watches, I did. So the day went really well, and immediately after, this is like one of the coolest moments to this day. Like, I had an agent come up to me, and he like shook my hand. He was like, "Congratulations, you just earned your spot on an NFL roster." And then I had a handful of teams come up to me and talk to me and show me a lot of love. A couple of them told me directly that if I decide to declare and I don't get my year back, that they will sign me as a free agent. The next day, I got an MRI, found out that I torn the labrum, and pretty much had to go straight into surgery. And after that, as a free agent, no team's really willing to sign you. So the high on the night of the pro day to the low of the next day is just, it was unreal.
Yeah.
And that was where my mental strength was really put to the test. Shortly after that, I find out that my first waiver has been denied for next year of eligibility. So that was pretty tough. And then shortly after that, I find out that my second waiver got accepted. So the roller coaster of emotions was unreal. But at the end of the day, I really look at it as a blessing in disguise. I mean, I think I am in the best opportunity right now in terms of my future and my dreams, my aspirations. So, I'm really grateful for the way everything's worked out, and all the people in my corner, Coach Keeler and Coach Perry and Clayton Barnes, for being really transparent with me and helping me throughout this time. My recovery is going super well. I'm absolutely going to be back come A&M. I'm going to be active for all of fall camp. So it's hardly even a setback. I don't even look at it in terms of that. I feel incredibly confident going into the season.
Yeah. And we're glad you're back, and we're glad you're going to be healthy for A&M. And I know you're just going to boost that draft stock and land on a roster at the end of this next year. And I know you talked about Coach Perry, and I talked to Tony Williams about this a little bit, and he was saying just how complex and how thorough the offense is. It's unlike really anything he's ever seen. So has your role changed at all? Has the offensive scheme changed at all? Are there any changes, or what can we expect from the offense under Coach Perry, and what can we expect from you under that the new offensive coach?
So in terms of my role, I'm expecting to go into the slot a little bit more. I'm expecting to play X and Z. So I'll be at X, Z, and A or W, whichever term you prefer to use. So whereas the past 2 seasons, I was strictly a wideout, I will be playing in the slot a lot more, which is really exciting to me because that's where my role, if I get an opportunity in the NFL, will likely predominantly be. So the thing about Coach Perry's offense that I like a lot is that it strives off an exceptional understanding of defensive schemes, and hardly any of your routes are locked. And what I mean by that is, like, unlike typical smash concept, it's, a hitch and a flag, and you can run nothing but that. In his offense, it's not just a locked route. You have numerous route variations that you can run based off leverage and based off coverage. So with me and the knowledge that he has given me, I feel, and same with the rest of the receivers, I feel really confident in our ability to excel because I believe that we're going to make the right reads and we're going to make the right decisions. And in theory, if we make the right reads and right decisions, we should be open. And that's kind of how his offense works. So for me, I think just with the knowledge in the receiver room, I think that we will do really well, but also I think it gives us the opportunity to really use our full skill set. Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited about what Coach Perry is bringing to the table. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in our offense going into this season.
Yeah. And I know y'all got a ton of weapons. They got you coming back, Ife coming back. You bring in Alphonte from Texas. Is Noah Smith playing completely wide out this year? Is that kind of the plan with him? I know they have him listed up. Is he with y'all this year?
Yep. And I tell you what, if you thought he was good in the backfield, he's better at wide out. Wow. He knows what he's doing out there. He can play ball. He is, when you talk about a technical route runner, he can run routes. Yeah,
I remember against North Dakota State, I don't even know if he had any carries, but I think he had 10 receptions for like 100 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns. And
yeah,
he looks like a receiver out there. I know he's thrown a couple passes. He's caught balls out of the backfield. He's run the ball, so he's definitely a dynamic guy. So that's really good to hear, and I'm excited to see the offense. So what are some of the goals that you have for yourself this year, maybe on the field, off the field, statistical, some goals that you have for yourself for this next season?
One of my biggest goals that I've been focusing on is taking in all the knowledge that I can get from Coach Perry. He's coached in the NFL. He coached where I want to be. He has all the knowledge that I want and need to succeed and to achieve my goals. So I'm trying to know the offense and football just like he does. I want to know the offense like a quarterback. I want to know the offense like an offensive coordinator. And I think that'll be incredibly beneficial to my game. In terms of, like my game, I really feel like I still haven't displayed my full skill set. I think, something that I was able to do that may have combated some sort of misconceptions about me in the fall was that I caught a lot of deep balls and I caught a lot of those 50-50 balls. And I feel like that was something that people didn't think I could do. What I really want to do now is, 1, display my full skill set as a route runner, and 2, show my yak ability, my yards after catch ability, which I feel like a lot of people see me a little bit as a possession receiver. I don't see myself. I can be a possession receiver, but I can catch and run with the ball very well, I think. So that is a goal for me in terms of displaying my full skill set. I really, really would like to touch 1,000 receiving yards.
Yeah.
but I don't try to focus too much on like personal statistics and personal goals, because at the end of the day, I'm not the only person out there. It's a team game, and I want to play my part so that we can succeed as a team. So it's a little bit difficult of a question to answer, because I do have my personal goals in terms of like all the stats and all the things that I want to do, but I don't want to be out there saying that stuff selfishly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's some good stuff. And I know you talked about the 50-50 balls. I know there were a couple this last year. There was one against Dixie State, I remember in particular, where I was like, I don't know how he caught that. I was front row on the home side, and I was like, wow, that was impressive. So you talked a little bit about your game. Is there anyone maybe in the league, in the NFL, that you kind of model your game after, or you maybe watch film of that you look up to? Wide receiver in the NFL that you might look at?
Yeah, so there's a handful of guys. I try to look at, every receiver is unique and their own skill set, and I try to look at every receiver and understand what makes them great, and I try to pick things apart and apply that to my game, and just kind of culminate all those things that these great receivers perfect, and try to bring that into my game. In terms of individual receivers, I love Devontae Adams. I love him. I mean, he's a master at his work. He knows the game really well. He runs routes really well. He's got strong hands. And then another guy would be Cooper Kupp, which I do get comparisons to, probably mostly because I'm a white receiver. But
hey, nothing wrong with being compared to Cooper Kupp.
No, nothing at all. He's, oh my gosh, had an incredible year. I mean, he's definitely a guy that I look up to and model my game after. And I've gotten a lot from him, just the way that he pairs routes together and his releases off the line. He does such a good job of making everything look the same. And that's something that I try to do with a lot of my routes, and just understand the offense conceptually and how different concepts mesh together and how they're supposed to look to give off the impression that this concept is emulating this one, but it's actually doing something else.
Yeah.
And then I guess I would also add DeAndre Hopkins. We have different skill sets, but his physicality off the line and at the tops of routes are unmatched. And I think that's a big reason why he is so good, because sometimes when you watch him, he doesn't always run the craziest routes. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the shiftiest guy, but he's long and he's big, and he's going to get more physical than you. And you're not going to be able to hang with him in close quarters. And at least at this level, I think I have a size advantage against most DBs, and I've benefited a lot from using my hands and using my strength to be physical off the line and at tops of routes.
Yeah, for sure. Those are definitely three good guys to model after and look up to. I got one more question. We'll get you out of here on this one. So you've been with Sam Houston for 2 years. And y'all won the national championship, but what is maybe your most memorable play or moment, maybe something on the field, off the field, that you always remember? Could be the national championship, maybe something else, but a memory you'll always have from the past 2 years being a Bearcat.
Good question. There's a lot of them. There is. I'm not going to say the national championship, because that's an obvious answer. That's a little generic. I think that my most memorable moment, my favorite moment, was Eastern Kentucky. I ran a post corner and I caught a touchdown in the right end zone. And I get up, and this was the first game that my little brothers, Jack and Nick, suited up for. And I get up, and it's like Noah, D Rose, Quez, and then I look up, and it's Jack and Nick that met me in the end zone, and I'm celebrating a touchdown with them. And that was probably the coolest experience for me, getting to share the field with my little brothers. We have a great relationship, even though we're 5 years apart. Those are my best friends. And we never ever even thought of the idea of being able to play together, because of our gap in age and grade. So with the unique circumstances of COVID and me getting all these extra years of eligibility, we're able to be on the same team together, which has been an incredible blessing. So that was a super cool moment for me, being able to share that moment with him.
Yeah. And it's a moment that I'm sure a lot of brothers have been able to have at Sam Houston, because there are a ton of brothers on the team that have been on the team that will be on the team here in the future. So that is a cool moment. Well, we appreciate your time so much, Cody. Appreciate you getting to know you a little better. And we're excited to see you out there, and just ready to watch you ball out, man. One more year. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Sports of SHSU All Access. We'll see you next time in episode 3.